The C2K Defense Holster Review. Let's talk about that. Welcome to the Patriot Training YouTube channel. My name is Clay Howell. I'm the owner and head firearms instructor at Patriot Training. The purpose of this video is to review the C2K Defense Holster. Sometime back, it was brought to my attention that there was a local Middle Tennessee company called C2K Defense, and they specialize in holsters, although they do have some other merchandise, my friends. And I set out to review their holster. And to give you a brief summary, if you want the TLDR version of this, I would not be doing the review if they did not build a quality holster. I would have reached out to them directly were that the case. However, I got the holster. One of the ones that was most available was the G19 holster for a Glock 19. To be fair, I do not normally carry a Glock 19. I normally carry a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. However, for the purpose of making a good review, I figured I would go with a gun that is much more mainstream, that a lot more people carry, and that is certainly the Glock 19. It's one of the most commonly sold handguns there is. So I got the G19 holster. I got the black carbon fiber model. Why? Because it looks cool. I got the monoblock clip. Why? Because it's a step up over the standard clip that comes with it. And I also got the concealment wing. Why? Well, here's the deal. A concealment wing helps it conceal, helps it print a little bit less under your clothing, help it look a little bit less like a holster or a gun. And it also, the added benefit is that concealment wing also helps grip my pants when I'm performing a draw and helps keep the holster in place. Now, mind you, the holster was perfectly fine on the draw, did very well, in fact, in my draw strokes. However, any additional item that creates additional friction or an additional hold point against which to pull the gun out of the holster is a big plus in my book, and that concealment wing most certainly does that. So when I look at things on a holster, when I'm looking to perform a review compared to other holsters I have, because I'm sure you're just like me and you have about a dozen holsters in some bucket somewhere, and you only wear one and the other dozen are in that bucket, and it may be more and it may be less depending on how long you've carried and what kind of guns you've carried and that sort of thing. But I want to perform a very scientific review and look at things very matter-of-factly, not just, oh, it was great or oh, it sucked, because those two things might individually be accurate, but that doesn't tell you what was great about it and doesn't tell you what sucked about it. So I like to analyze 5 specific categories. The first category I'm looking at is going to be the safety of the holster and the trigger guard coverage. And this holster, 10 out of 10. Absolutely covers it. It is on par with all the big boys of all the major holster manufacturers out there. Completely covered my trigger guard. There was no question about the safety. The retention was forward, very, very close to the front of the trigger guard, so there was no worry about that interacting with my trigger when I don't want it to. Excellent construction, very safe, exactly what I'm looking for in a holster. The second thing I'm looking for is retention of the gun and a secure fit. And y'all, this is a balance. The third thing I'm looking for is going to be the ease of the draw and the ability to do one-handed reholstering. And that's kind of a balance point. It's very, very hard to have good retention and good ease of the draw. And so for points 2 and 3, I've got to give you the holster a 10 out of 10 on the retention and the secure fit. It is absolutely marvelous. You can tell that the mold was built off of the gun itself, not off of some plastic model. And the ease of the draw, absolutely, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 here. There's just a little bit of friction, and you know what? You want that. You want that, and that's why it scores a 9 instead of lower, is because you want a little bit of friction, because if it just falls out when you turn the holster upside down, that's no bueno. That's no good. So that's also one of the reasons I got the concealment wing, is to get that added friction against that, so I'd have some force against which to draw the gun out of the holster. So top notch here, my friends. Absolutely top notch. How could it be made better? I don't honestly know. It would. I'm sure some holster expert could come on here and leave me a mention in the comments of how that could be better. And if that's you, please give me your opinion. So the ease of the draw and the one-handed reholstering, again, 9 out of 10 here. Very, very smooth. Very, very good. Goes straight in, goes straight out. Again, you can tell the holster was built to the gun and not to some plastic model. That's absolutely what you're looking for when you're looking for a gun. And I'll tell you why is because I've got some holsters from some big name companies, and they, one of the things they guarantee is that they make the mold off of the actual gun. And so my Glock 19 will fit into these perfectly like a glove. And the C2K Defense holster, same. And then the funny thing is I have a blue gun, a blue fake Glock 19 for demos. And when that goes in there, it will always rattle around a little bit because the fake plastic blue guns are just a little bit smaller. They don't quite match exactly the dimensions. They're really, really close. They're 95% there, but not 100%. And so like in my big name holsters, that my Glock 19 will fit them snugly. And my fake blue demo Glock 19 will rattle around in there just ever so slightly. Same thing with this holster. It is the exact same definition. It fits into the holster snugly when it's the real gun. And my fake blue gun for demos rattles around a little bit exactly like all the big boys. The fourth thing I'm looking for is comfort and concealability. Again, a Glock 19 is a mid-size gun, not always concealable. I have some very slender friends, and maybe this would not be the most concealable choice. I'm a little bit of a thick boy, so I don't mind. A Glock 19 is a small gun in my hand. I got big meat hooks. It's a relatively small gun on my body. It's a good trade-off to get, 15 plus 1 capacity. This holster makes it as concealable as I've seen in any holster, on up there with all the big names in the holster manufacturers that you've heard of. And so, and the comfort was exactly what I was expecting. 9 out of 10 here. Perhaps the only thing that might make it better is I'm a huge fan of those little pads that go on the back of the holster. And, one of those, if you sourced one from somewhere else, that might be the best way to go. That might bring it up to a 10 out of 10. Otherwise, perfectly fine. I'll put it this way. One of the reasons I carry a Smith & Wesson over a Glock is a little bit more comfort and a little bit better grip. The texture grip on that Smith & Wesson is just incredible. And because I'm accustomed to that, the Glock feels a little bit different on my hip. I carry it 430. So if there was discomfort, it was not due to the holster. It was due to the different model gun. And again, I didn't notice any discomfort. So good job here. Number 5, I'm looking at build quality and materials. I'll tell you real quick, 10 stars out of 10 here. This is a very high quality holster. You can tell when you pick it up. We've all picked up the flimsy piece of crap holsters, and we've all picked up the holy cow, this is a sturdy piece of machined art. And that is the C2K Defense holster. It is a sturdy piece of machined art. It feels solid. I'm not going to tell you to go run over it with your car, but if there's a holster out there that would survive it, I bet it would be this one. It's every bit as solid as any of the solid high dollar holsters you might get out there, and for a fraction of the price. So definitely worth your time and investment. All right, so what's the summary? This particular holster got 9 stars out of 10 or 10 stars out of 10 in each of the 5 categories. So overall, I do a 5-star rating, 5 stars out of 5. Definitely would recommend the C2K Defense holster. I selected the custom holster. I added on all the add-ons. I'm definitely going to suggest that. I suggest you pay a little bit extra. You get those little add-ons. And the reason why is because they have a very, very affordable starting place on their price points. And once you add all these things in here, you're not even at the base point of some of the high dollar holster manufacturers. So you can save yourself some money and get all the little features that you want. And trust me, those features do make a difference. When you carry with them and then you turn around and carry without them, you can tell the difference really fast, really easy. Now, is this holster going to make me a Glock 19 carrier instead of my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not going to tell you, but here's the cool thing is both guns are absolutely fantastic. Both guns work, and I like the holsters I have for each one. And before this, the answer was no, not likely. And after this, the answer is maybe. So that should tell you that holster has definitely pushed that particular gun up in my stack of highest priority guns to carry for day in and day out defense. So take it for that. Folks, that about wraps it up for this video. Do you have any experience with C2K Defense? Do you have a holster from them? Let me know about it in the comments below. Always like a comment on a video, hit like, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you'll know when the next Patriot Training video is released. And as always, I must remind you, you don't have to be a Patriot to train, but you do have to train if you want to be a Patriot. Take care.